How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. This is episode 25 of The Variant Verdict. My name is Josh.
I'm Sean, and 25 already, man.
Yeah, that is insane. In fact, 24, our last episode was on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to our channel, go ahead and watch that video because it came out great. It's a little different from our
It's
last
a little
stuff.
different, yeah. I mean, I know it's not like any other verdicts we've ever done, but I want to try something a little different and show, my love for that game. But today, we are going to be showing a little bit of love here for the movie Lighthouse, 2019 film starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And who's the director again? I know you know
Robert
this.
Eggers. He directed the 2015 horror, kind of slow burn thriller, The Witch. And if you're not familiar with The Witch, go back and watch that. I think he definitely made his name for himself as a director with that first film. So you'll kind of know what you're expecting out of his style when it comes to this one. Some visceral moments in there, a little bit of a slow burner, and some very ambiguous plot points and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
Makes you think a little bit.
A little bit.
So, first off, can you just tell me a little bit about what it's about?
All right,
the general gist of this film.
Basic plot point, I guess you can point, is that Willem Dafoe is the keeper of a lighthouse, and Robert Pattinson is a new hire coming on to stay on the island for a month, and as the number 2, pretty much as errand boy. After a month, and obviously during this time, these personalities do not combine.
He's very timid.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe is he'll fart and doesn't care what he makes you how he presents himself to you, where Robert Pattinson's very reserved and quiet, doesn't want to talk. So
yeah, he just wants to get his time over with, where you got William Dafoe who's kind of settled into that lifestyle, indefinitely almost.
Yeah, so then after a month, they've obviously become drinking buddies, and one night, Dafoe and Pattinson get wasted, and a month passed and no boat came. And you don't know whether it's due to a storm or whether they just got drunk and slept through the boat arriving. But they are stuck there for an unknown amount of time. That's the one thing this movie definitely does. It does not break down to you how long they've been. It's actually, in a way, I think it's on purpose, because that's part of the thing, is you don't know how long and who's right. So
it kind of fits in with the theme of your descent into madness. You start to lose your sense of time as well.
Now that was the basic plot. That is the meat of the story. Now these two people are very crazy, and you don't know whether they do a great job of you don't know who's really crazy, or is this really happening? And it's like you said, it's this descent into madness, where at first it's very subtle and calm, and then just at one point just blows the fuck up, and you're kind of left sitting there going the hell is happening? It
shows you kind of what happens when two people become completely socially dependent on each other, and not only that, they both need to survive, so they both need rations. They just count on each other, and because of that, I think for example, William Dafoe's character gives all the hard jobs, it seems like, to Robert Pattinson.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's the lackey.
So is he doing that because that's what his job entails, or is he kind of doing that because that's what he does to everyone who comes to the island? Makes him do all the hard lifting. But the funny part is, the one job, that perk that seems by coming to the island is actually going to the room where the light is.
Yeah, the lighthouse.
It's the one thing he denies him throughout the film.
Yeah, it's so he can go anywhere, do anything, but he can never go into the actual lighthouse, the light room.
He forbids him.
Yeah, he cannot go no matter what, but he makes him do everything else. And honestly, I mean, the movie does kind of break down. He's just a shitty boss. He docks people pay for any single little reason. He fires them for any little reason. He does anything he can. He's just a shit boss. And you don't know if it's just because that's just who he is, or if he's that crazy or odd or eccentric,
Yeah,
however you
exactly.
want to do it. See, they do this little line that's really hard that they blur, where you don't know if Willem Dafoe is crazy or just like eccentric, and like because at times he seems like the only sane one. Where at times like you don't know which one is actually on level ground there when it comes to sanity.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not sure, like, if they're trying to make Robert Pattinson's character, like, is he the relatable one of the two, or is he, like, despicable? Because he's a pretty despicable guy at times.
No, that's the thing.
But at the same time, you're like, I guess I can relate with what he's going through because he's around this guy that's kind of driving him nuts. And it's a funny tug of war, and like that's what I meant by, like, that descent into madness, is because inevitably something shakes the core of that relationship, and that's a storm.
Yes.
That comes to the island.
Like, they can't escape this because of this storm, so they are literally stuck and trapped.
And like, the only times they have seemed to really break that social boundary and get along is when they're drunk, right?
Well, yeah.
So when the storm knocks out all their rations, one of the funny things that happens is he says, "I think I know of a place where I hid some of some extra food in case this were to happen."
Yeah, food.
And they just
rations.
get more booze.
Yeah, and
so like that descent into madness just gets like they drive it home. You know?
No, that exactly. No, that's one thing about this is that like they drink. Like another part about this, you don't know if their descent, I guess you want to call it, or like they're going crazy either because they are obsessively drinking constantly, or if it's an issue where you have like
social
isolation,
lack of food, malnutrition.
That's
things
the
like
other
that.
thing too, is they're starving at one point, and all they're doing is drinking instead of eating, and it's like they're doing all these things that would make somebody go mad. But then, off kind of more of on, I guess you could say, a theory of mine. Do you think Robert Pattinson might have already been crazy before he got there?
I mean, you brought this theory up to me when he was done watching it. And yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. That makes sense.
Yeah, because, I mean, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. You don't want any, cut it here, because I figured we were pretty spoiler-free-ish
Yeah,
right
of course.
there. So, the reason I come up with this theory is because at a point, you do find out that he's lied about his name, and he's took on the identity of someone that he had watched die. Just sat there, just watched the dude drown, picked up his shit like it was his own, left, and became this person from this point forward. Does that sound like a normal person to you?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds like a psychopath.
It sounds like somebody who's a psychopath who just like is like, oh yeah, like this is an opportunity. So like, or I don't know if you want to call it sociopathic or what, but that's some fucking psycho shit. So to do that, why would he come out? And Willem Dafoe does ask him this question, I think, more than once. Why did he take the job? Did he take the job to hide? Like, is he hiding?
Yeah, and I think they explained in the film he was a timberman in Canada or something.
Yeah, which is
prior to this, and it's like not quite the same,
No, it's not the same at all. And he said, he's sick of trees, but not only did he let the guy die, and he's even explained that he's gone from like job to job to job to job, and he just wants to keep refreshing in a new start, a new life. Very odd. And even Defoe's kind of looking at him like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, and like I think ultimately with Willem Dafoe, he gives him like some rules to follow in the movie, and one of them is don't mess with the seagulls because he considered them the souls of other dead sailors.
Yeah.
And
that's bad luck.
I think like things. There's certain times I feel like there's crumbs dropped that let you know that he's been able to survive on this island, despite the circumstances because of these things that he does, these superstitions.
Yeah, exactly.
Like his way of life. And obviously, Robert Pattinson's, skeptical of it.
No,
eventually, and so this goes to where my favorite scene is. Eventually, while he's cleaning out a water trap, like a filter, like
favorite
filters
scene. This is your favorite.
I
scene.
just thought it was hilarious, like how it plays out.
I'm an animal guy, so to me it's kind of like, oh, motherfucker, but I can see where people would... This is This is a scene that definitely stands out. So.
But he beats the shit out of a seagull.
No,
if you want to see Robert Pattinson beat the shit out of a seagull,
he takes that fucking seagull and just destroys it. And
it's one of the rules he breaks that was so adamantly placed. And when he finds out later that he did that, it's so funny because he accuses him, and that's actually a very comedic scene. I liked a lot too.
No, and it was, and that's the one thing actually when you bring that up, and I know we're getting a little spastic here, but this movie has a weird way of occasionally just throwing in a laugh at you, and like during a really fucking dark or weird or awkward or anything.
No, I agree.
Out of nowhere it'll be like, boom, something funny.
It's got a darkly brooding tone, but it has some comedic moments in there that are sprinkled for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it works surprisingly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, so I was gonna ask you though, like, what is your favorite scene? So would you say that's your final?
I like that scene a lot. I like I like the whole ending fight, where he kind of has the showdown when he discovers that William Dafoe was going to dock him for the pay and get him fired and get him off the island when he reads the journal.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
When that final fight breaks out, I just love the way it's shot.
They acted amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way that whole thing was shot. And you have the house flooded while they're fighting.
Yeah, because
it's just like you mentioned earlier, the cinematography is. It's excellent.
It's fucking amazing.
What was your favorite scene?
Oof, that is a tough one. What would be my favorite scene? I don't know. Let me think about this for a second here, because the thing about it is, obviously there's the seagull scene that stands out. But is it the very beginning? Is it the whole lead up? Because that's one thing we also never mentioned into this, is that this whole, the first 20 minutes of this movie, or 15 at least, or something, no one talks. It's just them walking around, arriving on the boat.
It's very true. The movie allows more dialogue and time to breathe. As it progresses, it starts off very minimalist.
Yeah, you already have the tone of how uncomfortable this place feels. Everything, the atmosphere, the characteristics of everybody before one word was spoken. And that I felt was a beautiful job. So in a way, maybe that could be it. But otherwise, I would probably have to go, if I have to pick a real scene, it would probably be the very end with the fight. Them going at each other and just like I said, the way that is a roller coaster. You go from they're screaming to half crying and begging to that was all over the fucking place.
I was just when I saw this movie, I just didn't expect it to be as high concept and horror feeling as it ended up being, I guess is the best way to put it. So I highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun watching it. I laughed a little bit. I shrugged a little bit. I was a little horrified at moments. It's a good mixture of the group.
No, I definitely agree. It's definitely worth something to check out. Just be prepared to have a lot of questions when it's over. But do
very interpretive ending too.
Very I'm still not even sure what it means, but. Definitely check it out. Make sure you guys share, subscribe.
Yes, comment and let us know what you think of the movie, and we appreciate you watching. Have a good night.
And see you back for episode 26.